Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? We're back here at Jim Rockwell Stadium in New Lexington for Stadium Drive Week 5. Will Ford, Aaron Sprague. And Aaron, it's a battle of two Titans in the MVL tonight. It's New Lex 4-0, Tri-Valley 4-0, opposite division, so it's technically a non-league matchup. But I think people have had this one circled on their calendars for probably the last month because both of these teams are playing lights out right now.
Yeah, in theory, coming into the season, a lot of people knew on paper these teams would both be good. Of course, Tri-Valley with a big win over Clinton Massey in a non-conference game kind of proved their worth early in the season. Then last week, everyone saw New Lexington score that last-minute touchdown against West Muskingum to really put themselves in a pole position to win the small school title. So I think if you ask people around, these would be the top two teams in the MVL in their respective divisions. Of course, Tri-Valley still has to go through a gauntlet of the large schools.
Of course.
You know, schools like Sheridan and John Glenn and Philo. But on paper, Tri-Valley is the defending champs with a lot of guys back. You've got to think that they're the front runner. Tonight, their merit will be tested against the New Lexington team with really nothing to lose. You know, just a lot of hype train behind them and that big win last week. And boy, they are fun to watch. They sling it real nice.
They really do. And this is huge for New Lex because this is, they do have a great team like you mentioned, but maybe a monkey on their back, so to speak, with this Tri-Valley team because it's been 15 years since they've knocked off the Scotties. 2008 was their last win. And so, if they're as good a time as any, it's tonight with how talented they are and how well they sling the ball around their offense. It might be the best in the MVL in terms of balance. And Tri-Valley, it's a huge test, but I think Coach Board and the Panthers are ready for it.
Yeah, well, I love my share of history, so I myself looked up some history in this matchup earlier today, and you're right. 2008 was the last time New Lexington defeated Tri-Valley. That was in Dresden at Jack Anderson Stadium in 2008, a year where New Lexington was a state semifinalist.
Right.
A great team that year. The last time New Lexington had won here at the Rock was 2005. And what's funny, so there's a lot of things in life where you kind of think about like a turning point in life, right? I think for us growing up, or for me growing up, there's before 9/11 and after 9/11.
Sure.
How the world changed. There's before COVID and after COVID. There's certain things in life. And in football, in the MVL and MVL football, there's before Buttermore and after Buttermore.
Sure, yeah.
That
absolutely.
is the defining moment both in Tri-Valley and in MVL football history. So 2008, New Lexington, the last time they won. Before that, guys, from 1996 to 2008, New Lex was 11-2 against Tri-Valley. Pre-Buttermore. Buttermore was there, 04, 05, I think was his first 2 years before he got things going. So, but yeah, it's just funny how things change. New Lexington was, for a long time, the powerhouse of the entire MVL.
Yes,
them and Sheridan.
Absolutely.
Them and Sheridan. Then in 2008, Tri-Valley became head honcho. Them and Sheridan kept things rolling. And it's good to see the split of the MVL. Coach Board getting some excitement down here in New Lexington. This nice spread attack. We're going to have a packed house. But, yeah, whose side will history be on tonight?
Yeah.
Will they snap the 14-game losing streak to the Dogs and bring back the early 2000s, or will the streak continue?
Well, and it's funny you brought up kind of the history and going back to Buttermore's early days because that's when Coach Cam West was playing.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny how that all kind of works out. Coach West is now the coach of the Scotties after, being a part of a program that wasn't good for a long time. They became good his last couple years, and then he goes to Mount Union, comes back and everything. Right. But, yeah, this is going to be exciting because for New Lex, this is a kind of a different team than they've really faced all year, especially with Tri-Valley's offense. Jaden Wallace is a different kind of running back that really hasn't been kind of unleashed yet. He had a good game against Morgan last week and a blowout win. But, other than that, Tri-Valley's kind of struggled to get the running game going, and New Lex has faced a lot of power runners, like Carter Winland last week with West Muskingum. Jaden Wallace is a very in open space type of guy. Great vision out of the backfield, and really, really patient and takes his time finding what hole or what seam he needs to hit. But he's also very elusive and very fast as well, and so it's going to be a really unique challenge. Yeah,
we'll see if they can get him going. And go back to historical data. 2020 was the only time in recent memory that these teams did not play the COVID-shortened season. And, of course, they're in the opposite divisions now, so they do not have to play. I think they might be playing now because the required crossovers, the first part of this MVL schedule, or first part of the MVL split, right? So I'm not sure if they'll keep them moving forward or if they'll rotate off and get someone else. But they're playing now. It should be an electric atmosphere. This place should be packed down here at the Rock. And we are excited. Of course, we'll be here shooting some highlights. And if you haven't had a chance, go back and watch last week's New Lex West Muskingum reel, because that was as good as advertised. So go back and check that out after you're done watching the show here and get ready for tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be there, too. I mean, I was at that game, and it felt like there was no shortage of drama or action. It came down to the final minute. And it was a game that New Lex kind of controlled through really the first 3 quarters, and West Ham kind of just snuck back into it. They recovered a kind of a squib kick that ended up being kind of muffed and mishandled by New Lex. They take the lead, but New Lex kept their composure. They get the win. Go watch that, because
absolutely,
I mean, it was incredible. But Aaron, before we hop into one of our first interview tonight, you want to shout out Max Effort.
So Max Effort Muscle, maxeffortmuscle.com. Providing our player of the game in multiple games across our coverage area tonight. So maxeffortmuscle.com for all your supplement needs. Check them out. Really appreciate them. And maybe we'll get fall weather at some point, but right now we're still a little toasty.
It's a little toasty. I'm wearing sweatpants because I know when the sun drops, it's going to cool off a little bit.
Yeah, but hopefully the blood will still be going. We'll be amped up.
85 degrees. I mean, we complain now, but then we're going to complain in 4 weeks when it's week 9 and it'll be 47 degrees out.
We'll have beanies on and 12 shirts.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're going to complain and regardless, but, that's fine. But let's hop into one of 2 interviews tonight. We'll start with the visiting Tri-Valley Scotties, the 4-0 team headed by Coach Cam West, and he talks about the fact that Jaden Wallace has really yet to be unleashed. They haven't yet established the running game, but their defense has really been the catalyst through this 4-game stretch so far. Ryan LaMonica has 5 interceptions through the first 4 games, which is just 1 shy of the Tri-Valley season record. So he talks about his incredible defense and then how his offense needs to establish more consistency against this new Lexington Panthers team. So here is head coach Cam West, Stadium Drive Week 5, live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks for being here.
Cool. All right. Well, Cam West is joining us with the Tri-Valley Scotties on our Stadium Drive show for Week 5. Can't believe we're, at the midway point through the season already, but you're 4-0 to start the year, Coach. And first of all, I appreciate you taking time to join us on our show, but 4-0 to start the year, a huge Clinton Massey win, 14-13, and then you follow that up with a 65-0 win over Morgan. I mean, I think it kind of speaks to your coaching and also just the guys in your locker room to, not have a letdown after a big emotional win like that at Clinton Massey. You come out, you take care of business, and you hammer Morgan. I mean, how do you evaluate just the way that your team's responded to some of these challenges through the first 4 weeks of the season?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think our whole coaching staff does a great job. We are big picture kind of minded in terms of, it was a great win versus Massey, but we know there are things that we have to get better at. And if we want to be where we want to be week 8, 9, 10 into the playoffs, there are things that we have to fix. And we saw multiple things that game where we didn't feel like we performed very well offensively. I mean, we were just in a rut and not converting on big downs and plays that we had talked about that we need to convert on. So we placed an emphasis on that. And I thought kind of early in the season, our defense struggled. And I thought our defense has played well, and we hadn't really put together a full game where our offense plays well on defense. So it was nice to do that last week and kind of get a shutout and kind of do what we want offensively. It was a nice change up for us.
Yeah. So what was it offensively that you felt like you were struggling with? Was it just early down, just kind of getting ahead of the chains? Was it, like you said, just maybe not converting on big downs, in games and whatnot, maybe third down? Like, what was it specifically that you felt like was just keeping you from getting in a rhythm?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think we haven't really established the running game yet, and I think that's a huge part of football. We have a really good running back that hasn't really gotten loose very much yet. So just trying to establish the running game. We weren't very good. We haven't been very good on first down, putting us a second and long. Then if you get an incomplete pass or don't get very, very many yards, I mean, you're in third and long. So there's a bunch of different factors that go into it. But I think getting the run game going is the number one focus. And if you have a great running game, everything else is easy. Your pass game's easy, play action pass is easy. So kind of getting the running game going and placing a lot of emphasis on that is going to make things easier for us in the future.
Now, touching on your defense briefly, I mean, the defense the last 2 weeks has played really, really well and came up with a massive stop at the end of the game at Clinton Massey. But I feel like kind of one of maybe the unsung heroes of the defense so far is Ryan LaMonica. I feel like he's just intercepting balls left and right, and just has a nose for the football. But I mean, along with him and some other guys, I mean, just the defense as a whole, like you said, you maybe didn't play as well to start the year. But do you feel like they're kind of coming into their own now, and midway through the season they're playing their best, especially guys like Ryan and others?
Yeah, touching on Ryan first, Ryan's a physical freak. He's a freak athlete, and if anyone's seen him play basketball, the kid can jump out of the gym. He's long and he covers a lot of ground in the secondary. So we're fortunate to have a kid like that playing free safety for us, just covering ground. He's done a great job. Obviously, 5 interceptions through 4 weeks. I think our school record is 6 in an entire season. So hopefully, it'd be great if he gets that. Great for us, great for everyone. Hopefully, he doubles it, to be honest with you. He's been great. And I think the big thing with our defense is we've gotten more physical every single week. And I think in the game of football, physicality is the number one thing. In week 1, we were not physical. We were borderline soft. And we told our kids that, and our kids took that to heart. And weeks 2 and obviously week 3, you have to be physical playing Clinton Massey. And I think we were just as physical as them, if not more physical, and more physical definitely on that 4th and 1 play late in the game. So I think the physicality piece has really helped us through this point in the season. But we have a bunch of guys. Our defensive line's really good. Chris Gargis, Joseph Baker, Gavin Spiker, Ashton Winter, Logan McClellan. Those guys are – it's a formidable defensive line, and we put a lot on them to handle the run game and get pressure in the pass game. So it's a nice mix of having good guys in the secondary and really good defensive linemen. They play off each other really well.
Now, next up on the schedule is New Lex, who, I mean, through 4 weeks, they look incredible in the small school division in the MVL, and a huge win against West Muskingum. It was kind of a go either way game, and they came down to the final drive. They win it in the final minute. I mean, when you look at that game and just how potent their offense has been, their quarterback, it just seems like he can do it all as well as your guy. But Isaiah Stevens is just, I feel like, one of the best, not just in the MVL, but in the area at what he does and leading that offense. When you look at this challenge coming up tomorrow, what do you see?
Yeah, first of all, forget big school, small school. I mean, New Lex is a great football team. Like you said, they do some things really well. They have really good players, and I think they are really, really well coached. And when you mix good players, good scheme, really well coached, that creates a challenge that we're going to have to face. And Coach Board has done a great job since he's been there. He puts you in binds defensively and uses his athletes and gets them in space. And when you have a quarterback like Isaiah Stevens, who is just a savvy football player, and he's got great touch on the football. He can run. He evades the pocket, but keeps his eyes down the field and kind of turns into scramble drill. We are going to be challenged, and it's definitely a different challenge than a Clinton Massey. I mean, Clinton Massey's a really good team, but they are polar opposites. Massey and New Lex are complete opposites, so it is a different challenge. The challenge this, I think you limit their big plays by having the ball. We have the ball on offense more than they do. We control the ball on offense. To be honest, that's a really good defense for us. If we have the ball a lot more and we're running down the clock, New Lex wants the ball. They have playmakers on offense. They like to take shots down the field. And like you said, you're not going to stop every single one of them when they're going to take 15 shots down the field. We just have to limit and make sure they're not gigantic 85-yard touchdown plays. They're going to chunk you here and there. That's what they do. But we got to limit the huge touchdown plays, the kind of bend but don't break mindset of they're going to get their yards. They're too good. They're going to get yards, but we can't let up the big play that is a huge touchdown. So obviously I think a mixture of that and our offense controlling the football is kind of the recipe to win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're really excited to watch this game on Friday, Coach, but thanks so much for taking time out of your day to hop on.
Forgive me for a moment because I do think we're having some internet issues again. We were going strong, and I had the live cut out 4 or 5 different times a couple weeks ago when we were here at New Lex. But looks like we're back now. Yeah, LaMonica Island, 5 picks through the first 4 games. And as you heard Coach West say, it's one shy of a Tri-Valley regular season record. So obviously it'd be nice to have one from him tonight against this lights-out New Lex offense. And Isaiah Stevens has only thrown 1 interception on the year, and that came last week against West Muskingum. So it's going to take a big-time effort to kind of get the monkey off their back of not beating this Tri-Valley team, or for New Lex to not beat this Tri-Valley team in 15 years. It's going to be such a good game tonight, though, and we'll go through the last 15 years of history here closer to the end of the show. But let's dive into the New Lex side of things, because that win last week against West Muskingum was unbelievable. They took control early, really led throughout. West End didn't get their first lead of the game until into the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left. West End was behind. They squib it down the middle, kind of just a safe kick, so that way New Lex can't return anything down the field, and it was actually mishandled, muffed, and West End was able to jump on top of that fumble. They don't score on that ensuing drive, but they get the ball back, then go down and score. They take the lead, but New Lex really just kind of milked the clock, took it down to the final minute, and Isaiah Stevens hit Carson Kellogg on the game-winning touchdown, and Carson Kellogg had a tremendous day as well as Isaiah Stevens. Stevens was 15 of 32, so the completion percentage wasn't super high, but 299 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 pick, his first pick of the year. But Kellogg had 19 carries for 70 yards, a rushing touchdown, and then that 6-yard receiving touchdown to win the game in the final minute. And those two, they're like brothers from another mother. They talk about how close they are, how they always just know what each other is doing. They have a great feel for each other's game, and they complement each other so well, and they're just able to, it's just kind of twin telepathy in a way. They just know what's going on, and you heard you're going to hear Coach Board here in a second talk about a 2-point conversion in that game. If you haven't seen it in the highlight video yet, it's pretty unbelievable. Basically, after New Lex scored a touchdown, they ran a 2-point try, and Kellogg was wrapped up in the backfield, and Isaiah yelled to him to pitch the ball, and Kellogg did. Isaiah takes it into the end zone. I'll let Coach Board tell the story because he's going to tell it in a much more exciting way than I will. Here's head coach Kevin Board, Stadium Drive, Week 5, live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Kevin Board, New Lex Panthers.
Amazing. Well, Kevin Board is back, 2nd week in a row and the 3rd time this season on Stadium Drive for Week 5 as the New Lex Panthers 4-0 are going to take on the 4-0 Tri-Valley Scotties. And thanks for being here, Coach. Really appreciate you always making time. Seems like every week to hop on and chat with us for a few. I want to go back to that game against West End where you won, final drive of the game, 38-35. But kind of one of the plays that I feel like flies under the radar was that 2-point try earlier in the game where I think it was Carson kind of pitched the ball, lateraled it back to Isaiah, and Isaiah just did something special, and just it seemed like he broke a tackle by every West End defender on the field and somehow found his way into the end zone for 2 points. I mean, take me through that, because obviously it's exactly like you drew it up, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thanks for having me on, Will. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the work that you did with Storied Rivals. But no, it's not quite how we had it drawn up. It was just we did not pick up some blocks, and there was a lot of guys in the backfield that were not invited to the backfield. So Carson is kind of tied up, 4 for a loss of 1, and Isaiah yells to him, "Carson, pitch it!" And so Carson pitches it, and then Isaiah is able to kind of maneuver through 3 defenders there and make a play. But no, not what was drawn up. I'm all for a trick play or a gadget play or something fun, but that was not one that was on me. That was completely on those 2 guys, and it's really great because it worked. But it's one of those that if it doesn't work, it's really not that great. But no, it was just it was beautiful luck that ended up in a good thing.
So it was Isaiah just kind of in that moment who yelled out to him to pitch the ball. It wasn't Carson that just kind of threw it to him.
No, it was Carson just being obedient, listening to his quarterback. Carson said, "Yes, sir," and there it went.
And how fitting was it too that those two connect on that, and then at the end of the game, those two connect for the game-winning touchdown in the final minute. I mean, that's kind of funny how that works out.
Yeah, no, they're two big playmakers for us. I know that Carson, he probably catches more than a lot of the backs in the league, just as much as he probably catches nearly as much as he runs the ball, just with the scheme that we employ. But so he's a very able receiver. But no, it was cool for them to be have a hand in a lot. It's really big, crucial plays in the game.
Now, how do you maintain your level? Because sometimes after a big emotional win, some teams like they call it the Super Bowl hangover, or like you have a really big emotional win one week and then you kind of come down and you have a bit of a letdown the following week. How do you maintain your level as you go up against this Tri-Valley squad that's 4-0 and they've had some incredible ups themselves, although they've had some adversity?
Yeah, well, there's no time for a down, or a time to rest.
Right.
Really, man, we're so good and sit there and kind of rest. It's Tri-Valley's coming to town. I think everybody in the preseason had Tri-Valley picked as the top team in the MVL with everybody that they bring back from a year ago. They're a very good football team, a very good football program, very well established. I mean, you can check out the banners on the fence there at their stadium. It's them and Sharon have been the cream of the crop for the MVL for the last 2 decades. And Tri-Valley under Coach Buttermore had the big run there and was pretty well unstoppable. And then them and Sheridan have kind of bounced back and forth of who's the top team every year. But the team that brings nearly everybody back, as well as contributors, not just starters, they certainly we're the favorite coming in. So there's no moment to really say, oh man, we beat West. Our job is done. We can kind of relax. We've got to be right back at it because we've got a huge test this week with Tri-Valley coming to town. So we really employ and talk about just taking the season 1 week at a time. There's no looking ahead to other games. There's no thinking about, well, if this happens, what do we do then? Like it's all we think about this week is Tri-Valley. We'll look at week 6 when we get there, week 7, and so on. So just trying to stay focused 1 week at a time, one game at a time has been what my focus has been since I've gotten here. And so that's kind of where we stay. It's just we're locked in on week that we're at.
How do you line up against Tri-Valley's defensive front? Because, their front seven, they've got guys all over the place that just make plays. They stop the run. They get after the passer. But then, they're really good on the back end, too. Ryan LaMonica has 5 picks in 4 games. So you got to be really careful and kind of pick your spots, like where you go with the football and, just depending on what they're lined up in and who you kind of go after. When you're looking at the film and you're just trying to put together your game plan this week, what serves your offense best? Obviously you want to stick to what you do and do what you do well, but Tri-Valley's just got so many guys. Yeah,
no, they do, and that's when you scout teams. A lot of times you're looking for, what areas do you feel like you can attack based on what your strength is and what their weakness is. And certainly when you look at their team, there's not a glaring weakness. You can't say we're going to attack this guy or we're going to attack this zone or this area of the field because they're very talented, very skilled, but they're also well coached. There's a reason why they have success year in and year out. Players are part of it, but coaching is as well. And Coach West and his staff do a good job of putting those guys in positions to be successful. So we're gonna go out and I'm hoping that we can come out and play like we did last week. Certainly clean some things up that we did wrong, but we know that for us to be able to have a chance to win this football game, we've got to be able to play 4 full quarters of football to have a chance to do it. Right? You're not going to be able to make some of the mistakes that we made last week just because of how talented, how skilled they are. So we're going in thinking, man, we're going to go and compete. And so we're going to try to certainly take some advantage of things that we feel like we do well, but there's not something that they do poorly. As you said, their defensive line is very good, very athletic, not just big and slow, but are athletic, can move, can run, can rush the passer. They do some 3-man front, some 4-man front. So they're multiple in what they do defensively. In the secondary, they run several different coverages. So you can't just say they're going to be in this one thing. You're going to figure out what they're doing when they're doing it and try to take advantage of that with some of the calls that you have. But more than anything, we're just going to take them one play at a time. Same as we talk about playing one game at a time. We're really one play, one series, one half at a time, and let's see where the chips fall in the fourth quarter. But I don't think this is you're going to be able to throw a haymaker and knock them out. It's not that type of a game. They're too well coached, too talented of a team. It's like chopping a tree. You're just going to have to continuously take cuts. and it may fall your way. It may fall back on. You never know which way the tree's going to fall. So, but we're going to do everything we can in our power to play a clean football game within the rules and within our scheme, to where we're not reaching or trying to do something outside of us. Sometimes we make these big games into something bigger than they are. But at the end of the day, it's 11 high school kids playing against 11 high school kids at a time. Whether the rosters are 50 and 65 guys or not, it's only 11 at a time. So that's our message. We're just going to continue to preach that, take it one play at a time, and let's keep chopping.
Something I've noticed just being at a handful of your games this year is that, whenever you make a change, when you change the play on offense, everyone's always looking to the sideline to try to get a signal of what you guys are going to do. And obviously with a defense as multiple as Tri-Valley, you might be doing that a lot just based on the different looks that they give you. How much control does Isaiah have at the line of scrimmage? Because obviously he looks to you guys and you give him the final call, but like if he sees something that's out there that maybe you guys from the side don't necessarily see, how much control does he have to be able to kind of move in and out of plays and kind of get you guys in what might be the best thing to kind of attack a defense?
There's some, and I think that's a relationship that you build with your quarterback based on years of experience and things. We've talked about a couple of looks that we like certain things against. I've given him a green light of, hey, if you see this is the one and only play you're allowed to give it to. I don't give him a slew of options where, when he played JV as a freshman, I remember we'd call a play, and then in the huddle he'd be telling him, all right, this is the play, but hey, you do this and you do this. And with Madden and NCAA coming back, you want to give just complete autonomy of go out and do whatever you want to do. So like I said, there's a couple of looks that we may get each week that we say, hey, if we get this look, this is a play that we like. If this play's called and you get this look and you don't love it, here's an answer. But we have a lot of built-in options into our plays. One play is never typically just one play. There's a couple of options on each play. So a lot of it, I think, takes care of itself. But he has the ability that if he sees something that he doesn't like, he can either change the play. Don't tell him he's allowed to do that. Right? I told him one time, so I usually hope he forgets and just runs the play.
Sure.
He's an athlete and dynamics, so sometimes he makes the play out of nothing. So when you have a guy like that, sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. So you're going to have some negative plays when he's trying to make something happen, but he also is pretty electric and can make some really big things happen too. So.
Now, Tri-Valley hasn't really established their run game yet, and so Jaden Wallace, their star back, who had a tremendous year last year, he hasn't really been unleashed yet through 4 games, which is kind of scary just given how well that they've played. But, how do you make sure that it stays that way?
Just contain him and tackle him. We've kind of talked this week, and I've, with South 60 and Brandon when he talked to me or Sam, last year it was 14-8 at halftime. And we were down, right? We scored late. We had a double pass from Lane to Jarek, and then a pass later to Ben, and we got 2-point conversion. We had a chance at an interception in the first quarter that we just jumped up and missed, and the guy caught it and ran for a touchdown. So you're talking about potentially a one-score or even a tie ball game going into half, and then second half we come out and I think I counted up the tackles that we missed after the game, and it was like 30-something tackles. So we helped really launch him last year, and they're like, wow, this kid is really, really good. So I'll take a little bit of credit for how good he is because I think we showed good. But, he's a much different back than we've seen. Week 1, we saw Owen Ruff from Fairfield Union, a strong, powerful downhill runner. Week 2, Philo, same type of back. Week 3, Morgan in a downpour, but they were a downhill type of guy. Week 4, West running back, downhill. This guy's more of a shifty, more of a guy that can he's not necessarily looking to run the play. He's looking for where the opening is. And he's got really great vision. He's got great speed and agility to be able to find those openings and then make cuts. So we just got to tackle him. We had several opportunities last year, and I imagine we made a lot of highlight plays for him just with our missed tackles. So he's a tremendous back, one of the best players in our league by far, without question. And so we've got to bring our A game and make sure that we're finishing each play where he's on the ground and not leaving it up to chance.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned college football and Madden. Do you hop on the sticks every now and then and play a little bit here and there?
I've played before. I play a little bit. I haven't played a lot right now. Fall's a busy time. Once we get into the off,
that's fair.
At football games twice a week with varsity JV. My wife coaches volleyball. She's got games Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. So, and then obviously our little man, he's running around doing a lot of fun things right now. So there's just a lot going on. Not enough time right now for NCAA, but before season started, I did have my my dynasty. I'm sitting at 3-0. I think I was cracked the top 25. So one season,
There you go.
I'll take over and see what we can do.
There we go. We love it. Well, thanks for hopping on today, Coach. I appreciate it. Best of luck against Tri-Valley, and keep the thing rolling, man, and get to 5-0.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Will. I appreciate it.
Big thank you to Kevin Board and Cam West for hopping on Stadium Drive this week. The first time we've talked to Coach West this year, and it's the third that we've talked to Kevin Board. So really appreciate them giving us some insight into this game, this Week 5 matchup between 4-0 Tri-Valley and 4-0 New Lexington. And the sun is setting here at Jim Rockwell Stadium. It was really hot here a few minutes ago, kind of when we started the show, and now that sun's kind of settled behind the scoreboard. It's clouded up a little bit, and it's a beautiful and perfect evening for some football. But let's take you through some games that are going on in our coverage area. We'll start in East and Northeastern Ohio first. So let's take a look at the Week 5 schedule. We've got Dalton taking a trip to Hillsdale, Malvern at Garraway, Ridgewood, who hasn't allowed a point defensively other than a safety against Coshocton. They have allowed 0 points, and they take on Strasburg Franklin. Talmadge hosting Highland, Union Local a trip to Shenandoah, MVL battle between Sheridan and John Glenn. Maysville is hosting Coshocton. Meadowbrook and the Colts, after a win against Crooksville last week, going to Philo. New Lex and Tri-Valley tonight, of course, and Zanesville at Northridge. And then the game at the bottom of your screen there, West Muskingum at Riverview, was canceled due to some injuries on the Riverview side. And the Riverview AD posted something earlier in the week, just acknowledging this game and kind of what the plan was, and I'll read that for you in case you can't read it on your screen. I was on September 17th. After discussing the number of injuries and number of players, the administration and coach Lisecki have made the difficult decision to cancel our home football game versus West Muskingum on Friday, September 20th. And this was not a decision that was taken lightly, but a decision that was made to protect our athletes. And we are making decisions as our injured players return on a weekly basis, and we apologize for any inconvenience that this will cause. So obviously, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you look out for the health and safety of those Riverview athletes. Hopefully they get back to the field in a safe and quick manner, and they can resume playing the game that they love. But we have the national anthem here at Jim Rockwell Stadium, and then I'll be right back. All right, just wrapped up the national anthem here at Jim Rockwell Stadium, but just a final note on the West Em Riverview game that was supposed to be tonight, obviously canceled due to some injuries on the Riverview side and just unable to play. And we really hope that those kids get healthy. That's first and foremost. And New Lex kind of gets a rare bye, something that you don't necessarily see in high school football all that often, not anymore at least. But we hope that the Riverview kids get back on the field as quickly and as safely as possible. And West M, I guess we'll have an opportunity to kind of – they were looking around for a game, couldn't find a game to play this week. And they'll just get some rest, I guess, and kind of just take a nice chill pill after two really, really close losses to Garraway and to New Lexington. But let's take a look at the schedule now for Central and Western Ohio. And we'll touch on that area before we wrap up here tonight. So Centerville will host Springfield, Gahanna at Dublin Kaufman, Dublin Scioto at Worthington Kilbourne, Grandview Heights will host Chesapeake. The Blue Aces, man oh man, hung 70 on Washington Courthouse last week. They are playing absolutely lights out, and they will go to Utica in an LCL matchup. Hamilton Township hosting Buckeye Valley. Hilliard-Davidson and the Wildcats at Marysville. Jonathan Alder taking a trip to Benjamin Logan. New Albany will host Hilliard-Bradley. Olentangy at Westerville Central. Dublin-Jerome at Olentangy Liberty. And the Orange Pioneers hosting Olentangy Berlin. And at the bottom of your screen, UA, the Golden Bears at Central Crossing. So that's what we've got on the docket tonight. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, specifically on X, so you can get score updates for the games that you're looking to follow here tonight. And man, oh man, we're about ready to start here. We got 11 minutes until kickoff here at Jim Rockwell Stadium, and we've got a good one on tap for you. So make sure you stay tuned on X for highlights throughout the game. Nothing high quality like you would have seen on YouTube, but just stuff to kind of just keep you in tune with what's going on, following the action. Real quick before I go, let's take a look at the last 15 matchups between these two teams. As you can see, dominated by Tri-Valley from 2009 to 2023. 2020 was the only year they haven't played due to the COVID-shortened season. But New Lex's last win was at Jack Anderson Stadium, 19-7 in 2008. So it's a 14-game win streak for Tri-Valley. Prior to that, New Lex hadn't won here at Jim Rockwell Stadium against Tri-Valley since 2005. So an opportunity to end that streak here tonight as well. But prior to this run here by Tri-Valley, New Lex won 11 of the previous 13 matchups before that. So that was before Tri-Valley kind of came to power in the MVL, so to speak. But those are the last 15. What happens in 2024? Well, let's find out tonight. I'll hop out of here. Go enjoy the game that you're at, and I'll see you next week in Week 6. This has been Stadium Drive, week number 5. Thanks for watching on Facebook, X, and YouTube. And we'll see you in Week 6.